Hi, welcome to another episode of Words of Ages. Today we're going to be talking about keeping a checklist for a successful life. In this world, an ordinary life has become synonymous with a meaningless life. You have to take that sentence with a pinch of salt, but as I see it, there are two types of people out there. There are those who read goal attainment books and feel inspired, and then there are other people who will they don't as much. The former will read the anecdotes about all those underdogs who beat the odds and manage to achieve wealth and prestige beyond their wildest dreams, and will say to themselves, wow, that could be me. They'll feel enlightened, invigorated, and revved up to make a change. And then there are other people. While they may initially pick up such a book and with a genuine interest, their desire to whip up life into shape will invariably do an absolute about face, leaving them uninspired. So, if you say anything to them as they read, it's more likely to be a string of ego-deflating curses than a yearning-filled, one day that'll be me. I actually discovered my aversion for successful books by accident. Charged for work with the task of developing an online course on the topic of goal attainment, I began to do some research. At first, it all seemed dandy. To-do lists, I can get behind those. Articulating a vision for the future, check. But then, as I started to delve a bit more, I began to sink into a mire of confusion amid all the contradictory advice. Make to-do lists and then prioritize them by urgency. No, not by urgency, by importance, because that's the way to a meaningful life. Except that to-do lists are actually now passé. So chuck those altogether. It's the less is more mindset that will breed success. Just make sure you're not spending too much time planning your tasks, because that takes you away from working on them. Although most failed projects could have been saved at the planning stages, so planning is crucial before embarking on any project. You would have known all of this had you properly color-coded your task list in the first place. The more I delved, the more aware I became of an undercurrent of shame that was slowly simmering inside of me. It was the feeling that something was dreadfully wrong with me if I was not willing to do whatever it takes, like the underdogs in the books. Didn't I have faith in the universal laws that turned out Oprah's and J.K. Rowling's and an endless stream of other successful stories? Why, it might be as simple as manifesting my destiny with positive thinking, or mindfulness, or a cream cheese bagel for all I knew. No dice. Guess I'm just not built for success. And yet at some point, maybe for fun, I began to consider an alternative. What if most of the people I know are more like me than them, busy with life, proud of themselves when they get hit good enough, happy to have work that is more or less satisfying, even if it's not tremendously lucrative or glamorous. What if others don't view themselves as rags to riches tale, waiting to happen, and instead walk around with their heads held high simply because they are proud of the ordinary lives they are living? It felt subversive, empowering, and indeed nothing short of revolutionary. Success doesn't have to mean a coastal beach house or getting up to speak in front of a crowded audience where everyone knows just who you are, what you do, and how much you're worth. There is a quieter, softer form of success. I began crafting my own definitions and principles of success, things along the lines of, if you have one person in your life you genuinely care about and who genuinely cares about you, you're successful. If you have one positive thought today, then you had yesterday, you're successful. If you just have one thing to be proud of or grateful for or to celebrate, even if it's just the fact that you don't rip anyone's head off, even though you had a miserable day, you're successful. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for setting and achieving goals. I'm also all for striving to become the next one in a million success story, if that's what floats your boat. But if it isn't what floats your boat, that's no indicator of your personal worth or lack thereof. It's a sad sign of the times that success is measured in extraordinary terms only. It's as if the benchmarks of ordinary, mundane success have now been rendered obsolete or worse, something to feel ashamed of. It takes heaping amounts of courage to step back from the grandiose expectations of what success books tell you life could be and say that what you already have is enough. maybe even more than enough, but in truth it is. So if you, like me, are an unsuccessful type, the type that reads about the Oprahs of our world with little more by the way of reaction than that's nice, remember that great potential for success lies in your own backyard. Success is what you make of it, even if that means simple, boring, ordinary or everyday life. I am surrounded by people who measure success in their own unique way. For some, it is marked just by getting up in the morning. For others, it's about self-expression or creating new life pathways. For me, it's about being human, keeping it real, showing up, staying present, living with integrity and serving others from my heart in the best way I can. I'm with you on all you say. I believe we need a future vision and means goals rather than end goals. But I fundamentally disagree that the vast majority feel failure because they are not living extraordinary lives. There's a huge turning of the tide and we are becoming so much more aware now. Many of us realize we get to define our own version of success. The only people that think differently to this are those who haven't yet woken up to see how incredible they are in their own right and haven't yet seen how out of date the old masculine success paradigm is. The question of what is success and what does it mean is a question that has also recently troubled me. But what you make of it and therefore should not be sought after in the opinions and ideals of others because of the words in the words of Desiderata. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. I have realized over the past few years that my idea of success is different from the vast majority of people around me, and for most of my life, this has left me with a feeling of not being good enough. I have a wonderful family, including my boyfriend of 20 years, a handful of friends I love and trust, a nice house with a garden and a safe job, and I earn enough money to be able to pay my bills and eat well with a bit left over for books, concerts, and other things I love. I don't dream of exotic vacations, fancy cars, or expensive jewelry, but I work on myself a little every day to be kinder to myself and to others, to be more grounded and less vulnerable. But I have come to realize it need not measure myself against anyone. I live with a chronic illness that limits me in several ways. I never have the same amount of energy or time to spend exercising, socializing. Success for me is having days without pain, days when I have the energy to spend time with the people I love or working on my hobbies. Even after a full day at work, I will never run a marathon to be a size 6, but that's okay. If you like what you heard today, please be sure to like, share and subscribe to the video. Interact with us in the comments. If there's an idea of success that you think you need to talk about, please be sure to interact with us in the comments about it. This is Words of Ages, and until next time, see you.